Hi everybody, Chris Titley here and welcome to Scoreboard. This episode is powered by Swyftx, Australia's top-rated crypto exchange and proudly homegrown, just like many of the athletes and business leaders we feature on Scoreboard.
Hi, it's Chris Titley here on today's episode of Scoreboard, the podcast. I'm joined by Lynda Holt. Lynda, thank you so much for being part of this series.
Thank you for inviting me, Chris. Looking forward to our chat.
Lynda, we're sitting here on Tuesday, the 12th of August. How's your Tuesday been? And I reckon, how's your 2025 been so far?
It's a bit busy today. I've only got like a week to go before I head off to Slovakia, and I've got a lot to do before I go. So been busy. And the year in general, though, has been amazing. So I've been pretty lucky. Got some amazing things coming up and I'm pretty excited about.
Slovakia. Let's talk about it. Why are you going to Slovakia?
I have been selected to be in the Australian women's team to play in the Women's World Championships over in Slovakia. So our world competition over there. So we're heading over on the 18th of October.
Ice hockey, right?
Ice hockey, sorry, para ice hockey.
Yes, I can see it on the listeners might never be able to see the jacket, but you've got the jacket on, the Australian ice hockey jacket. Yeah, para ice hockey, right?
Yeah. So we'll be playing over there for the first time. Australia will have a team. Ice hockey is pretty new to Australia. Overseas, it's quite popular, but we're very new. I've been playing for 2 years, and so we're going over for our very first competition. I did go in November to Norway, and I did play, but I played in a group game. I played for the Pacific team, but now having an Australia team is going to be really special.
Wearing the green and gold again in a new sport, only 2 years in. How did you come about ice hockey of all things?
I know it's a bit of a shift because I did Sydney 2000 and I did shot put and discus where I got silver, and then I took a break from that and I built some businesses, and then a couple of years back I was like, I really miss doing sport and I wanted to find something again. So just randomly, I was actually at an event that had like a come and try day and see all these different sporting events, and I saw para ice hockey and fell in love with it without even trying it. I mean, that's my sport. That's going to be my new thing. It took about a year before we got off the ground, and I was forever calling the organisers going, are we starting yet? Are we starting? And they're like, finally we did. I actually have to drive 2 hours every Sunday to Newcastle because that's where our team is, and 2 hours back. And I do it easily. I love it. And I've been doing that for about 2 years now. So
fantastic. And how have you gone in terms of the rules and the fast-paced nature of it all?
It is really fast. And I'll be honest, I'm still learning 2 years later. There's so many rules, but I am improving each session. And that's all I can do, just get better and learn as I go. So, yeah.
And Lynda, let's touch on 2000. You talked about it briefly. Do you want to talk about your journey to 2000 and sport in general in regards to, throwing things and being really good at it?
Well, I started sport when I was 9, and being in a wheelchair, like sports back then, we really weren't included. So I was often left off. I was left to watch everyone else. And then I discovered disability sport and once again fell in love with it. I'm really naturally sporty. I just love it. So I did shot put and discus. And at the time as a junior, we did everything. I did basketball, slalom, track, swimming. I did everything. But I was just way better at shot put and discus, throwing stuff. I'm very strong. So I got into that, got all the Australian records and obviously got seen along the way and made the Australian team for the Paralympics in Sydney. That was an experience I won't forget. It was been the highlight so far of everything. I'm hoping to overtake that and make another Paralympics in 2030 for para ice hockey, but that was my first ever one and it's something I'll never forget.
And being on the global stage, how did you go in regards to being nervous and building up to this one event that happens every 4 years or so and the pressure that comes with that?
Look, I had, as I said, been playing sports since I was 9, so I was pretty good in front of people. I'm very good with setting goals and really focus. So getting out there, throwing with 20,000 people, I think were watching at the time. I just could cut it all out. I was very lucky to be able to do that and did pretty well. But you do get a bit nervous at the beginning. And then like I said, I just try and cut it out and I just focus on the task at hand, really.
And Lynda, did you know how you were going to go in regards to where you thought you were going to position at the time?
Yeah, initially, based on my stats, I thought I was going to get bronze. That was I was hoping for. So it was a shock that I got silver, and in both events I got second, and so that was a surprise. And it was quite funny because when I did the event, I did my last throw, and I knew I'd got the distance I needed. So yeah, so I had to wait for. I just competed. I just got my distance that I needed. I knew I'd actually got the silver this time, and I had to sit there, wait for about a couple of minutes because I had to do a medal ceremony with someone else who had won. So I had to sit there. No one knew I had got the silver. I was patiently waiting. And then when they announced it, the crowd just went off. It was pretty exciting after that because, once again, no one expected it. We all kind of expected bronze, but did not know silver. So
that's awesome, Lynda.
Pretty funny and an experience that I won't forget there.
No, for sure. Like, I'm curious to know how that journey began in terms of resilience, determination. Going, okay, let's do something, let's make an impact, and how that came about, because it sort of just doesn't pop up that you become an Olympic silver medalist, right? Paralympic silver medalist. So, where did that come from in other sports, or is there a mindset thing?
I think, to be honest, having a disability has really made the difference. I've always had to think differently. I've always had to fight for my place in this world. I've always just really pushed myself to show people we're no different. And so now I'm a bit of an advocate. So I do advocate for disability because it's important. We get overlooked a lot of the time. So I think for me, that was my push to do better. And so for me, I always push myself to do better, and it grows from there. And with mindset, I did a lot of study, psychology and things like that, just to back myself. So yeah, that it's a process. It's taken time and years, but I stand up for myself and I push for what I want. And I'm very goal driven. So I will set goals and do what I have to do to get them.
Yeah, I'm curious on that goal setting around whether it's tangible in terms of like a trophy or something, or whether it's individual and achieving the 100% best that you could possibly do. Or I'm interested to know.
For me, it is more about that. I mean, I love, who doesn't love a medal or anything like that, or a record? It's not about that for me. It's about me doing my best and beating myself. Like I like to set a benchmark, and then I try and aim for that. And then or each week I'll set something and I want to do better than I was the week before. So yes, the end result is a medal, hopefully, or a record or something like that, but it's not my driver. So it's self-improvement is my driver.
And what about the trait of resilience? You've had a lot of that in your life and growing up. Do you want to talk about that and some of the hospital visits and things that just go wrong, yeah?
Look, resilience is something I've got a lot of. And I think that's because of my mindset, because I'm in a wheelchair, and because of all the obstacles I've had to do. So for me, I've had I've had hospital stays my entire life, but two major ones that are quite memorable where I was 4 months in hospital. I simply cut myself transferring. It was on the back of my leg. It was an area that just wouldn't heal. So it got septic. I ended up in hospital. 4 months I had to lay in bed, and people can't quite grasp this, but like I laid in bed on my right side. I did not sit for 4 months. I had multiple surgeries, blood transfusions. And at one point the surgery actually failed and I had to redo it, where they had to surgically close the wound that I had. And it was during COVID. There was no visitors, and I was also in a single room. So all I had was the staff, and I was trying to run my business also from the hospital bed. So I had my computer, and look, I was fairly positive, I'd say, most of that time. I do remember one day though where I did feel it was just never going to end. So it was just like, that's the day that the first surgery failed and it broke down. And I was like, I'm done. This is not going to end. I'm never leaving hospital. But then I thought about it, really dig deep and was like, you know what? No, let's start again. I'm a day closer now to getting out. And the next day I was the same. The next day I'm a day closer to getting out. And that was my goal. That was my whole goal, to make through to the next day, and that wound getting slightly smaller each day. And it did. And I did get out, but it was 4 months. And even just sitting for the first time after 4 months, my body didn't know how to do that, and I would fall over. So I had to retrain, and then I would sit for 5 minutes, and then I had to lay down again for another hour. Then in the next hour, I sit up another 5 minutes. And then the next day it would be 10 minutes, and I'd have to gradually build that up. So it took a long time, and I did have to have a strong mindset. But I think with my sporting background and then my disability, that's how I've developed it over the time. But it is something I've had to develop, and just try and always reframe things. And I'll always try and see there's a positive somewhere, but sometimes I just do have to dig that little bit deeper. But I can generally find a positive somewhere.
Yeah, overcoming the doubts in your brain, as you mentioned, over time is obviously very, very hard to do. Do you comprehend every now and then and say, like, I just need like 2 hours just to vent that it sucks?
Yeah, sometimes, Sometimes,
and then go, right, okay, now I'm back on.
Yep, that's true. Sometimes you just need an hour or 5 minutes or something to just go, look, this sucks. This is not what I wanted. This is not how it was meant to be. But what can I do about it? How can I fix it? How can I get out of this? And that's how I reevaluate, I reframe it and go, okay, well, it could be worse. I'm always that person. It could be worse. And I think that I see that because I've known other disabled people with disabilities, and they do have it a lot worse. And I'm like, you know what? I've actually got it pretty good. I might not be enjoying this particular moment, and it could be better, but it could also be worse. So how do I fix this? And then I just come at it from a different angle of like, how do I move forward from this? What can I do to fix it? And usually I can, and I'm out of it, and then I'm back on track again until the next thing happens.
Yes, that's life.
It's always the ups and downs, and it's always going to be that way. But if I can reframe it and find something positive, even if it's the smallest of things to hang on to get me through that, that's what I do.
How did you reframe some of your childhood, I suppose, when it became tough, when you were excluded of things and there weren't opportunities for you because you were in a wheelchair? How did you accept that as a child, and looking back on those moments now?
Look, it was harder as a child because I hadn't learned the skill set to be able to work it out. So I did wonder how to do things. I remember I had a teacher. He was actually not very nice to me. He put on my report card a below average mark for a below average student. And I was like, wow, how can you say? I don't know what he had against me. And it was actually in my PE class. So I was actually a sporting class, which I found quite amusing. But he would like do a class, and in a class that was downstairs, and he would leave me up the top and then tell me off for not being in the class. I'm like, well, you didn't come and get me. Things like that. So I think I built it from those moments because I didn't know how to deal with it back then. I'd have people telling me, oh, so-and-so's told me, look, you'll end up in jail. Like, watch out for her. And I'm like, how did I get that? I don't know how. I think people didn't like my determination, and I would say things. I will often speak my mind. So I think that didn't help me when I was younger. It helps me now because now I can advocate for myself, and I can speak up, and I can see what's wrong with things. That's what I think, how I learned it. But back in the day, it was difficult.
I'd imagine in terms of, I suppose, your self-belief, and you talked about that in terms of the resilience, etc. But you want to talk about your journey in sport and when that started?
It started when I was 9. And then I because there wasn't a lot for people with disabilities back when I was 9, I found a disability sports group. And that just opened my eyes to everything because they were the same kind of people as me. That's where I actually met Louise Savage, one of my closest friends. We both competed when we were like 9. And so we did swimming together. We did track and field together. She was better at track. I was better at field. So we kind of decided to go and choose our sports. And that's where I kind of found my place in the world. It was like they were with my people. So I continued just doing sport and getting better at it, finding my area that I excelled in, and the rest is history. I just worked my way up from nationals to then international. My first international competition was in the US for an event, and I did all the sports over then. I did track and field and everything. But then I specialised in shot put and discus and stayed with that.
And then in terms of the building up to the Olympics and the selection and then the actual event itself, do you want to talk about how you felt leading up to that? And I suppose why I started Scoreboard is when you achieve a goal, then it's sort of like, what next? You might get picked for something, but then now you have to perform.
Yeah, well, actually, my lead up to the Paralympics was a bit different to a lot of other people's, because there was myself and another athlete who just before the Paralympics, they said to us, we might be pulling your event, one of our events. And we're like, you're kidding. We've literally been training since I was 9 years old for this event, and you're thinking of pulling it. And they went, yep. And I can't remember the reasoning behind it, but they went, well, we don't know yet. We'll get back to you. So I actually initially wasn't announced in the team. When we went to this big ceremony and it was an announcement, I was not announced in the team because they didn't know if we had our events. So it was pretty heartbreaking there, because both of us was like, we've done all this training for nothing. Ultimately, we did get our events put in. I think one of his was pulled. With one of my events, they actually ripped me off a medal, I'll be honest. What they did with Paralympic sports, let me just clear that first, is because of our disabilities, we compete against equal and fair. So we have categories. I'm an F55. So that means I will compete against people of the same ability to me. So I don't have very good balance, for instance. My legs don't work at all, so I don't use any of those when I'm throwing. So when they were pulling that event, instead of pulling it, what they did is they mixed that event. So then they said, okay, we'll mix one event. So we're going to have F55s, 56, 57s, and 54s all in the one event. What they did was let me just explain, the 58s, they can weight bear on their legs and they have leg muscles and full stomach muscles. So they are throwing an awful lot farther than what I'm throwing. So what they did was first, second, and third got the gold, silver, and bronze. So it didn't matter where we ranked in our own category, we didn't medal. So I came second in my category, got no medal. But what really disappointed me was the girl I was up against. She broke her world record, come first. She come fourth in the whole thing, so she didn't get a medal either. They did give her the world record, but no medal to show for it. So technically I got 2 silvers. I only have 1 silver to show for it.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's, a pretty interesting story. Obviously very disappointing for the competitors in that. Yeah. And hopefully at some point in time in the future it's all changed or whatnot. I'm not too sure. But sorry to hear that.
Do that sometimes, but it's disappointing and it needs to change. But
yeah, no, for sure. And then I'm also curious to know about your business and how that came about.
Well, that came about simply because of needs, really. Like I was here going, I need things. What can I get and need? So I travel a lot, as I was saying before, with my sport. So initially I started with these bags that I sell. The Swyftx, they have a set of 5 bags, and it actually fits on the back of my wheelchair. So that when I move, it moves with me. So I don't have to carry luggage and push a wheelchair at the same time. So this actually started it because I bought these bags for myself, and people were going, oh my God, where'd you get those bags from? And I was like, well, me. So I was going to, and then I built a business around that. I had a business previously doing support for people with disabilities. Like we did their cleaning or their support work, but I moved away from that and did products, because for me, what would make my life easier was going to make other people's lives easier. So I had started with the bags, and then I just built products along the way that have helped. And I now sell a wheelchair that I've actually got the only one in Australia. I think actually there might be another one. It's called the Swyftx iHybrid, and it's part electric, part manual, and very lightweight. So I now sell that as well, because it's once again helping me that will help other people. And that's really how it came about. And it's been going for almost 3 years now, and we're doing really well. And yeah, I love the
And
business.
it's called Really Essentials, right?
Really Essential.
That's an awesome name. And then also some other things around, potentially scaling the business. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I did recently scale it because, once again, back to travel, I travel a lot, and traveling with a disability is a nightmare. So I'm a travel agent. I used to work for Ansett many years ago before they all fell apart. So I have got that experience. And then I brought that back, and now I work with iTravel. And together I work with them, and I'm looking at working on disability travel because it's difficult. I have to call ahead. I have to, challenge hotels going, yeah, it's all accessible. As soon as you get in the first 2 steps, it's all flat. We're like, yeah, that's really not accessible. And, things like, we'll have the shower rows, the handhold shower, they'll have it at the top where we can't reach it. Or they'll have, just things that aren't right. So I'm constantly challenging people again, making things accessible for everybody else. And so that's why it's going to be a hard slog because it's time consuming and a lot of calls, but I know there's a need for it and it's difficult. And I want to make lives easier for people. That's how I started my whole business, making life easier for myself and for other people.
Yeah, is that one of your values, do you believe, in terms of, I wouldn't say it's sort of prosperity? Is that something right?
Yeah, look, my value is definitely helping others and making sure it's equal and fair as much as we can. That's why I advocate for people. I've done a lot of that and will continue to do that just to make everyone's lives easier, because we do get overlooked sometimes, and sometimes they make us feel like we're a burden on society, and we're really not. We can be contributing. We can do so much. And that's another reason I do my sport. I can show people what we can do and what we can achieve if you put your mind to it. So that's what I hope to also to do.
I'm also curious to know around your support network and reaching out for help and reaching out for various things along the way, and not being afraid to do that is something which you're kind of good at and have a good support network.
Look, I'm very vocal, and I think that's a big part of it. And a lot of people aren't. So I hope that I can talk for them. But I have a good support network. My family is very supportive. I have very supportive friends. I have a great coach. And yeah, so I am lucky enough to have a lot of people around me. And I do reach out to them when I need to. And like I said, I will find the right people to reach out to if I don't have that network, and get someone to help to make change. I'm all about making change.
Yeah, and in terms of making change, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a sec. I'm just going to delve into your scoreboard moment. 1 second. And Lynda, every podcast we do a little segment called the scoreboard moment, and that moment is a moment in your life which is very vivid and very clear. And you may have already touched on it, but let's dive a little bit deeper in terms of from that moment on, life changed.
For me, that would have to be the Paralympics. It was such a pivotal moment in my life. Like I said, I was out there in front of 20,000 people watching me compete in something that I'd trained since I was 9 for. It was something, I'll never forget. So nothing has actually come close to it since. Hopefully I can make a 2030 Paralympics, and that will be a Winter Olympics, and then I'll have a winter and a summer. But for now, the Paralympics Sydney 2000 would have to be my all-time pivotal moment.
That's awesome. That's brilliant. And in terms of your all-time favourite sporting moment, I'm curious to know what that is through all the different sports that you've seen and played.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm loving watching ice hockey as much as playing it. It's such a dynamic sport and a bit violent. I think that's what drew it to me. But I was watching the Oilers and the Panthers final. Unfortunately, the Oilers did not win, but it was a great game to watch.
Absolutely. That was a cracking series. And now, as part of our sponsorship with Scoreboard, we've got Swyftx on board, which is a homegrown crypto platform. They've got over 1.1 million users here in Australia and New Zealand as part of their new campaign. It's Where Can Crypto Take You? So I'm curious to know, a segment that we always have here is called the Bucket List. And the Bucket List is a sporting event that you haven't attended yet that you would love to attend. I'm curious to know, Lynda, what your bucket list is.
I would love to go to like Madison Square Gardens and watch a game of ice hockey. I would love that. So that is my
yes. So the ice hockey theme is coming right through this podcast. Yes.
I tell you, I am hooked on it. It's such a great sport. Like, it's fast, it's furious, it's a bit violent. It's I just love it. So yeah, but even watching it, I mean, there's some sports I just cannot watch. I love watching rugby as well. That's a great sport to watch because it's fast paced but I love playing more than watching. I'm very much not a spectator, but with hockey, I do love watching it.
And from your 2 years into the sport, what makes a good ice hockey player?
That's a good question. Look, you've got to have the determination. You've definitely got to have that. You can't just be nice about anything, but you've got to be fair and equal. I will never do anything that's just wrong. I'm not a player that will injure other players or, to get to the top. I would never do that. It's got to be fair and equal, but go hard. You still have to go hard.
I'm also curious to know, in this world that we live in terms of social media and brand profile and presence for athletes, for Olympics and Paralympics, etc., how important it is to be a storyteller, how important it is to build your personal brand outside of your sport, and so people can actually buy in and follow your journey.
Yeah, that's something I'm actually trying to work on as we speak, like to build my profile so I can have a bigger voice and to help more people. That's really what I want to do. So, I mean, I do have Instagram. I show all of my sporting, I'm at the gym a lot. So I show that at the gym and I'm showing myself, competing or doing my ice hockey. And then I also have another site where I'm doing the travel side. So I've got a lot of different brands, I guess, but one is just me. I'm the athlete who travels, or I'm the athlete who competes.
And do you show your vulnerabilities as well? Like, is it a bit of an open book, or is it a bit more like smile and take the photo, then you go, oh, I don't really feel very well, but I had to take the smiling photo?
Oh, look, I'll be honest, I'm probably a little bit more guarded than I should be, and I'm going to try and change that to be a bit more open. I think because I've always come to it as I want to show the positivity, and so I want to show that, you can do anything and you just got to get out there. So I focus more on that. But yeah, I'm a girl. I don't like looking bad on camera. So I will edit a bit. So, but that's a good point. I should show a bit more of the lows. Not that I've had many, to be honest. Because I don't really see them as lows. I will usually go, okay, that's not where I want to be. Okay, I need to now do this. So, and then to be honest, a lot of the time I forget to bring my camera out in those moments. So that's the other thing. I need a full-time videographer to follow me around. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I forget. I'm like, oh, that would have been a really good thing to film. Okay, didn't do it.
Didn't do it. Yeah, didn't capture the moment, but that's okay. Capture the moment. There's a good name for Instagram. I can't capture the moment. But I'm curious, moving forward as well, Lynda, around what people can do to, sponsors, people that are interested to follow the ice hockey team, follow your journey. How can we get involved? How can we buy in as well and be part of the journey?
Oh, that would be awesome. Look, we've had to self-fund everything. It's costing me almost $5,000 to go to Slovakia because we are such a new sport. We're not in the Paralympics yet, but after this competition, this should then it's a pathway to the Paralympics because at the moment there's a mixed team. There's not a women's team. And to be fair, the women really struggle to get into the mixed team because we're just not like the guys. They're bigger and stronger. So there wasn't a place for us as much in the mixed teams. But now we've developed this women's teams. This is where we're going. But we are underfunded. And, and I once again try and bring it to people's attention because it's an awesome sport to watch. And for the young and up and coming people to watch this happening. But yeah, it's self-funded. So you can absolutely follow me, Lynda Holt _Paralympian. That's my main page. Or I Travel with Lynda is the other one. And just see where I take life. And but yeah, if there's any sponsors, we're always looking for sponsors because it is an expensive sport. So I drive to Newcastle every Sunday. My car, I need a new car, and and it cost me like over $100 in tolls, and petrol. So it's an expensive sport. But I do it for the love of it. But yeah, it'd be great if sponsors could support us.
Well, there you go. There's a little business opportunity for Scoreboard out there to do a bit of matchmaking on the sponsorship side. So we would love to do that. If anyone out there is listening, one last question, Lynda, in regards to a piece of advice for a young Lynda who is in a wheelchair or has a disability, and they're thinking about themselves and going, how do I become a Paralympian? How do I become an elite athlete and do things, I suppose, a little bit differently and keep pushing forward as opposed to like, I'm stuck?
I think a big thing I've always told myself is don't compare yourself to others. That's massive. I see it so many times going, I'm not as good as so-and-so. I can't get there because I'm not that good, or you are running your own race. Don't compare yourself. Compare yourself from last week. That's where my comparison comes from. That's where I challenge myself and push myself from what I did. And I can appreciate other people's abilities, and if they're better than me, that's awesome. And I can cheer them on. My friends, I've got friends that play and do sport, and they're amazing, and I cheer them on. I don't compare myself to them. I think that's where we can come unstuck, and people get stuck in their heads that I'm just not good enough, so don't do it. I'm also very much do it anyway and see where it goes, see where it takes me.
Lynda, thank you so much for being part of Scoreboard today, the podcast, and sharing your views, your insights in terms of your childhood and where you've come from and where you are now, the pivotal moment in 2000, and now we're sitting here 25 years later for another pivotal moment about to happen, and hopefully further moments in terms of, as you suggested, the Winter Olympics as well in ice hockey, which is fabulous. What a transition, and what you should be very, very proud. And thank you so much for coming on. We look forward to connecting you with sponsors on this podcast and matchmaking, etc. And looking forward to following your progress. And as mentioned before, people can follow your progress and follow the team representing your country. Again, I congratulate you and look forward to catching up.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been a great interview. I've had fun. So thank you. And hopefully we'll see where we go from here.